Good morning. Today you will be working through the sexual and asexual reproduction slides. You'll be doing this as well tomorrow. This is a rather long slide presentation, so you'll need to spend a good amount of time working on this. So let's get into it. So first you're going to look at the essential questions, which are how are sexual and asexual reproduction comparable? What types of reproduction produces uniform and diverse offspring? And how is genetic information passed from parents to offspring? So let's take a look here. Just a reminder that the cell is the smallest structural, functional, and biological unit of all living organisms, and we call them the building blocks of life. And nucleus is an organelle present in most eukaryotic cells that contain genetic material. Chromosomes are thread-like molecules that carry hereditary information. So your chromosomes make you what you are. There are X and Y chromosomes. Two X chromosomes makes up a female, and an X and Y chromosome make up a male. And I want you to see how small the Y chromosome is, because this is something that we'll be talking about when we get to genetics. So we have DNA that's called deoxyribonucleic acid, short DNA, and that has the instructions for how the organism will develop, live, and reproduce. It's in every cell and it's passed from parents to children. The gene is made up of DNA. Each person has 2 copies of each gene, where you get 1 from each parent. So you're going to pull these boxes over to the correct spot, and then you're going to tell me what they are. So make sure you are not only pulling the boxes over, but you're typing your answers here. Asexual reproduction is where an offspring will come from a single offspring. There are not 2 parents, there is 1 parent. And the genes of the offspring is genetically identical to the parent. Mitosis is a type of cell division, and it ends up with having 2 daughter cells that are genetically identical to the parent cell. And you can see that this is the parent cell. It splits and becomes 2 cells. Binary fission, which happens in prokaryotic cells and some single-cell eukaryotes, you can see that the chromosome replicates, it splits, and then divides into 2 cells. So you don't end up with the parent and 2 cells, you end up with just 2 new cells. Buddings grow off the body of the parent. You can see here that, and an example of that is a hydra. Fragmentation is where the body of the parent breaks into distinct pieces, and those pieces can actually grow a new organism, and that's through regeneration. So planarians, which is on the top, or sea stars, can do that. Regeneration, if a piece of a parent's detached, it can actually grow into a completely new offspring. Some sea stars can do this, and sea cucumbers can do this. Then we have vegetative reproduction, where the parent plant will have a plant basically grow out of it. You're going to draw lines. You'll go into where you can work through or you can edit, go here, you can pull a line and make sure that you're drawing lines between the correct words and their definition. Okay, so if you find an offspring that's not genetically identical to a parent organism, what type of reproduction created it? And you need to tell me why you know that. So there's advantages of asexual reproduction. If an organism is not mobile and it can't look for a mate, it can reproduce. You can make lots of offspring without costing the parent any great amount of energy, and it's very fast. The disadvantage is if there is a genetic issue in the parent, it will be reproduced in the children. They'll have the same weaknesses. As the environment changes, they cannot adapt very quickly, and they can actually become extinct. Make sure you answer the question here. Now here you are going to drag the correct answer for advantages of asexual reproduction. Whatever here are advantages, you'll drag here. Disadvantages, whatever here are disadvantages, you will drop on this side. So then you're going to answer this question. Make sure you answer it thoroughly. So now we're going to talk about sexual reproduction. So sexual reproduction comes about because of two parents. One parent is the male and produces male gametes or the sperm, and the other is the female that produces the female gametes or the ovum. And gametes, the sex cells, are formed by meiosis. Now in asexual production, it's mitosis, but in sexual reproduction, it's meiosis. And it divides a cell so that you end up with 4 distinct cells. And you can see that the different phases, and it's required to produce egg and sperm cells for sexual reproduction. Mitosis produces 2 cells which are exactly the same. Meiosis produces 4 what's called haploid cells, which contain some characteristics of the parent but are not identical to the parent. Here you're going to drop these into the Venn diagram based on if they're mitosis, meiosis, or both. So during sexual reproduction, a sperm enters an ova, an egg, during fertilization. In humans, each gamete has 23 chromosomes. So they will fuse together and they make a zygote, and it has 23 pairs of chromosomes with 46 total chromosomes. And then the appearance of the offspring will vary due to the new combination of genes. And then what happens is the zygote then begins to divide by mitosis. It goes through different developmental phases to become a multicellular individual, and the offspring are genetically different from their parents. So these steps are not in the right order. You're going to need to drag them so they're in the correct order. So there's some advantages to sexual reproduction. There's genetic variations for new generations, which helps that species to adapt to the environment. It's more protected. It doesn't necessarily carry the weakness of the parent, and it actually will remove bad genes from the population. Some of the disadvantages is it takes 2 to reproduce. It takes longer. There may be good genes that don't get passed down, and there's fewer offspring as a result of sexual reproduction. You are going to drag these boxes, whether they're advantages or disadvantages of sexual reproduction, by looking at the last 2 slides. Now, think about a population of organisms that reproduces sexually. Which would be more difficult for the population to survive? So read the rest of this question, tell me the answer, and answer why. Some organisms can actually reproduce sexually and asexually. There might be benefits to this adaptation. Some examples are fungi, strawberries, and daffodils. Some animal examples are starlet sea anemone, jellyfish, and sponges. So there's mutations, and those are changes that occur in the DNA sequence, and it causes changes in the organism. It could change how it looks, how it behaves, how it functions. And these are really important for evolution because these mutations actually can make organism more likely to survive or less likely to survive in a specific environment. There's harmful mutations, sickle cell anemia, cystic fibrosis, albinism. You can see that here, this is a crocodile that is an albino, and it doesn't make any pigment for its skin. Down syndrome is a harmful mutation. Wingless fruit fly, you can see on the top on the right. Hemophilia and dwarfism. So, in mutation, sickle cell anemia is a genetic disease with severe symptoms. It's caused by mutation of the gene that helps make hemoglobin. And that, so the R is the dominant gene, and that is unaffected. And the small r is for having sickle cell anemia. And we're going to learn more about how this works when we get to genetics, but you'll see that this person, neither of these parents have sickle cell anemia. These three children do not, but this one does. So you're going to actually pull these boxes, whether they are asexual reproduction or sexual reproduction, and then answer these questions. Determine, and I give double points on these, so make sure you answer them well. And then any questions you have here. Remember, if you have any questions, please let me know. Have a great day.